Earth. Fire. Air. Water.
Legend of Korra is one of the most underrated shows out there. Avatar: The Last Airbender fans had a lot of issues with The Legend of Korra. As a huge fan of Avatar myself, I get it. There's a lot of things that the creators could have done better. One of the most common complaints of this show is that it's way too different from Avatar. I think this criticism is invalid since it was the writer's intention to make this show different. Korra isn't Aang. In fact, the first episode is dedicated to establishing that. From a young age, Korra already excelled in fire, water, and earthbending, while the bulk of Aang's journey was mastering those elements. Aang was naturally spiritual due to his upbringing with the monks, but Korra struggled with her spirituality throughout most of the series. Aang was a pacifist, while Korra was always ready to throw down for a fight. The point is, if you're looking for the same kind of show as Avatar: The Last Airbender, you're not going to find it in The Legend of Korra. That all being said, let's dive into what makes The Legend of Korra so special, and I'll try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, so proceed with caution. Just like our baby boy Zuko, it took Korra a lot of mistakes and multiple seasons to discover her true self. Korra started off as bratty, entitled, and irrational, and being the Avatar only inflated her ego. Like a child, Korra was unwilling to learn unless it interested her. As Korra learned more about the world and visited new places, she was humbled. Legend of Korra explored the concept of extremism in each of its villains. Many of their intentions weren't straight up evil. Let's ignore Vaatu for a second while I say this. And their goals came from their desire to make the world a better place. The complexity of each villain made for a compelling story, because unlike Ozai, who simply wanted to burn everything to the ground, their ideologies humanized them and made them people that Korra could learn from and relate to. In Book 1, Amon's desire for equality stemmed from the mistreatment of non-benders. We saw this conflict become volatile in Imbalance, a canon graphic novel that takes place after The Last Airbender. Amon wanted to take a stand against this injustice, but rather than advocating for non-bender rights, he sought to tear down benders and erase their culture. Amon used fear-mongering to tip the scales in the opposite direction.
The bending oppressors of this city will stop at nothing to quash our revolution. But we cannot be stopped. Our numbers grow stronger by the day. You no longer have to live in fear. The time has come for benders to experience fear.
In Book 2, Unalaq, Korra's uncle and chief of the Northern Water Tribe, wished to restore the Southern Water Tribe's connection with the spirits. He grew up feeling inferior to his brother and craved notoriety, so he dedicated himself to his studies of the spirits and proved to be a knowledgeable leader. Unalaq understood his culture's traditions and valued the connection between humans and spirits. However, Unalaq was driven by jealousy and used his spirituality as a cover for his nefarious intentions. Having outgrown his goal of becoming chief of the Northern Water Tribe, he manipulated Korra into helping him gain more power as a world leader and as a bender. In Book 3, Sahir is introduced as a philosophical thinker. Sahir and his accomplices believe that a person's allegiance should only be to themselves and those that they care about. His anarchist-like ideologies were inspired from air nomadic scriptures and philosophies, but he took the idea of detachment and freedom way too far.
Let go your earthly tether. Enter the void, empty, and become wind.
Sahir had noble intentions, but operated in a morally gray area. He hated corrupt world leaders and government systems taking control. To Sahir, the ends always justified the means. As an earthbending prodigy, Kuvira understood the importance of discipline and hard work. Kuvira quickly saw how unstable the Earth Kingdom became due to the events from the previous season, and felt the weight of her people in need. In her efforts to unite the nation, she overcorrected Sahir's ideology by creating his worst nightmare, a nation run with complete government control. Each season, we see a distinct type of ideology that mimics real-world flawed systems: communism, religious oligarchy, anarchy, and fascism. While the extreme of each ideology never goes well, Korra learned a lot from each of them. Each villain pushed Korra into becoming a fully realized avatar. With Korra, we were able to see the Avatar's spiritual and emotional journey, something that we didn't get to explore as much with Aang. The wisdom she learned was invaluable, and resonated with the older audience. Despite all the hitches in the road, Legend of Korra is a story that needs to be seen. Aang's Happily Ever After was great when we were kids, but the writers knew we had grown up and were ready to grapple with more complex issues. That all being said, whether you've seen it or you're debating whether it's worth it, here's my answer. Watch it! When taking in any type of media, you only get out of it what you look for. So if you're looking for The Last Airbender, you're gonna be disappointed. Go in with an open mind, and you'll find things you didn't even know existed.